Welcome to episode 6 of the HIGHké Lifestyle podcast, a biweekly podcast where we talk about hemp, while on hemp, vibrations, energy, spirituality, groundedness, some conspiracies, and whatever else kind of flows out. I'm your host Clifford.
I'm Shari.
What's up? What's up?
What's up? We're back at it.
Yeah, I was saying before I hear the ice cream truck in the background, and it's just like pure nostalgia, like being a kid and just hearing it down the block. Like as a child, your ears are very sensitive to the things you like, so I hear it like down 5 blocks away, and I'm like, ice cream. I'm getting ready to like get the courage to ask my mom for money so I can go get some. So it always feels good to hit a truck.
What was your
You
what
have
was your what was your ice cream of choice?
Honestly, I like slushies mostly. I like slushies, and then I like the snow cone. Um,
Oh,
and that's for like Mr. Softy. But with good humor, I'll get the quarter waters, but
the what?
the quarter waters.
What's that? Put me
So
what's that?
quarter waters were these quarter juices. They came in these small plastic containers with this like thin aluminum cover, and they just came in different colors. They were like neon color, like neon purple, neon green.
I
Yeah,
know what you're
yeah,
talking about. I just didn't know
yeah.
the name. What is it called?
We call them quarter waters.
Quarter waters.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it.
And
I like it.
I'd always ask the Good Humor ice cream man to get it from the bottom because it was frozen, and now then it becomes like a little slush, and maybe like the strawberry shortcake. Like they had good commercials for those, so I used to like those.
Strawberry shortcake. Yeah, I was very simpleton. I was like vanilla with. If I was in a mood for sprinkles, I get chocolate sprinkles. That's it.
Yeah, I've never really enjoyed cone ice cream. I don't know. I don't
No.
know. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I like eating with a spoon. I think it's part of the gesture, like just shoving my mouth wide and almost like this is object. I don't enjoy it. Or like you gotta lick it. I don't know if I don't like the mechanics behind it. That's what it is. I'm a
I
weird
get it.
mechanical
I get
person.
it. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I always get down to the cone and I'm done with the ice cream. Like I don't want to eat it anymore.
Right, right. What's the point, right? What's the point?
I'm tired. I'm tired. Sweet it out. But I
Right.
would like the sugar cones if I am in the mood. I like the sugar cones, the waffle
I don't
cones,
think it,
the waffle cones.
okay,
Sorry,
okay, yeah,
waffle
yeah, those are
cones.
good, yeah,
Those are
yeah.
yummy.
Did they have Mr. Softy growing up in Jersey? Or what was like your neighborhood ice cream man
It was.
or
It,
woman?
it was. It was. I would only get like he would. It would be a softy truck. Yeah, for sure. Mr.
Okay,
Softy. Mr. Softy. Yeah, I remember that. I can only identify it ever with the music.
right.
And
So on
sometimes
repeat,
I realize in New York though, I'm like, oh, the same music but different type of truck.
right. They definitely had like the bootleg Mr. Softy trucks.
Oh,
They definitely
I'm
had
aware
like
of those.
right the bootleg sounds. So
Yeah.
like they ain't still a copyright for the music, but it was similar. So you know the ice cream man was
And
coming.
like the label of the truck is it's like ambiguous. You can kind of
Right,
it's
right,
like
right,
faded.
right.
You
Or it's
can't
like a
really
black
tell
Mr.
it's been in
Softy.
business for a long time or not.
Right, right, right. Same thing, but yo, he's here today, so this what I'm fucking with.
Yeah,
That's
and
all that
it's funny
matters. Yeah,
because then I saw like a Mr. Softy, and then it was a woman driving. I'm like,
that's dope.
it is
That's
dope.
dope. Yeah,
But
yeah.
as a young one, you're like, I'm confused.
Why? Why are you confused?
I'm not saying I'm confused, like I took it personal, but it's just like, oh, it was different. It was different to see. It was nice. I'm not saying anything
Right, right,
besides like, oh, it's something different. Like usually you think of Mister. It's the conditioning of the brain, right? You think of
right, right, right,
Mister
right.
and you think of a man. That's what happened in that moment of time. Like, oh, that makes sense. That can happen too. A woman
Right.
driver.
Yeah, it's. I remember when I was I think there's a year where I was just traveling through different cities back and forth a lot, and just being on a plane so frequently, and like what, I feel like I've never seen a female pilot before, and I'm like like that'd be dope. Like I'd be excited to see that. 'Cause, for me it's like social progress, right? Or it's just knowing that like she made it she made it through the not stereotypical, she made it through the bullshit, right? Like women in um fields that are predominantly male men got to go through shit, like this girl that I graduated high school with, she was trained to become a pilot, and I kind of just made that connection thinking about her.
That's
And
cool.
I never found out if she graduated and became a pilot, but
Mm-hmm.
just in the airport one day, just were like, you know what, yo, it'd be dope to like meet a female pilot. And then like 10 minutes later, like what I assume is that like a female pilot walks by. She has like the cap, she has the coat and everything. And I'm in my mind, I wanted to run up to her, like and like maybe now, like back then, it would be weird for me to kind of run up on someone and be like, hey, I was just thinking about female pilots and this is so dope. But now I think if I seen that, I want to be like, yo, it's dope to see a female pilot. I don't see it enough. So yeah, like it's like a nice wheel of energy, I guess, or wanting, and then the universe be like, all right, like here, it exists. You can like be content for a little bit. There's progress. The world is getting better sometimes.
The world is getting better sometimes.
Sometimes, right?
A
You gotta
little,
take the
a
little
little. Yeah,
victories,
you do. It's a small
right?
progressions.
Right.
Small progression is a progression.
Are
There's
there are there any male dominated or even female dominated roles that you've wanted to see the opposite gender in?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me think for a second. Is it bad that not? Is it because I'm gonna blame that I'm high that I can't think of one really quickly?
No, no, that's it's a loaded
But no,
question.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
it
think
just kind
about
of
it.
came to me.
I'm gonna think about it for sure.
Right, right, right.
Because I was stuck on. It's so funny that you brought up pilot at all because like, man, I just heard earlier someone knows someone that like is a pilot, and all I'm gonna say is that their lifestyle is like questionable. I'm like, dude, should you really be a pilot? Like,
That's terrifying.
that,
That's terrifying.
this is
T-
terrible.
tell, tell me which airline off the mic. I don't want to put. Tell me which airline off the mic.
I mean, I can't. I see it. The universe isn't even. You got chopped off. I didn't even hear you just now.
Yeah, I said, tell me the airline off the mic. So
I
I
don't
can
even. Oh,
know
I didn't
never
ask. I
never to
didn't.
fly that.
No,
Damn.
I didn't ask this airline.
You gotta get the
I made sure
details.
to stay in the mystery and that. No, no, certain details. I don't. Will do me no good.
If you knew that there was an alcoholic, all right. So let's say you lived in like a small town, not even a small town. Let's say you lived in like Buffalo, New York, and you know that there's a local pilot who's an alcoholic. You wouldn't want to avoid being on
Okay.
the
Yes.
plane he's on.
Yes. All right. I got a basic. All right. Okay. Yes. Of course. I have more investigating to do. Obviously,
I'm
I have more
like
investigating to do.
minimize the risk, right? I don't know. I like to minimize risk. Certain risk, right? Like, yeah,
No,
yeah, that's a good risk.
I mean, yeah, but listen, the reason why I don't even have words for that is like, why is it that I have to go out of my way to now be worried about shit like that when that person should not be doing what they're doing at the
Right.
cost of people's lives? Like,
I mean,
sorry,
we
it's.
we accept worse, right? And more important
I can't
roles in
believe
our
that
life,
that's
right?
true,
Like,
but
right.
unfortunately, that's true.
Yeah.
Ow, that literally hurt. Like,
I mean,
it's
it's
terrible.
dope. Yeah, and like, I guess thinking about the so I was trying to think of that movie with Denzel Washington when he's a pilot and he's an alcoholic. Can't find it.
Oh my god, that's right. Oh wait.
Unstoppable. Say flight. There, obviously flight. A one word movie. Flight. Yeah. Okay.
What is it?
Flight. That's it. I'm thinking of something. Hollywood. Like it's not some brand. Right. Flight. Man on fire. Right. Like just straight to the fucking point.
Oh,
Like they don't
remember
even
that movie
try.
Snakes on a Plane? The whole movie's
Right.
literally
Right.
about snakes on a plane.
Snakes on a plane. They don't even try, and we accept it. Right. We accept the bullshit.
Where you have to my ass watched the entire fucking movie.
I never watched it. I thought about it
Good.
once,
Don't.
and I was like, I can't. Nah, I'm good.
You're good. You're good. Like you
Right.
can imagine like, oh, snakes on a plane, what's that like? Whatever came into your mind, that's exactly what it was.
Maybe if it was like Snakes on Soul Plane, I'd watch that. That would be a good movie.
Yeah,
Snakes
at
on
least there's
Soul
some
Plane.
mystery. Like, how did the people react? But I'm
I feel
like,
like
I think a bunch of people with snakes in a plane, if something bad happened, would freak out. Yeah, I'm good. But no,
I
my
wonder.
ass
I
watched a
wonder if
goddamn fucking
anyone.
movie.
Wonder if anyone has done that. Snakes on a soul plane. It's a
I
bunch of
can't
black people with a
wait.
snake. That shit would be dope. That'll be dope. That'll be fucking dope. I like
Have
that.
some Motown playing in the back.
Right, 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 right. That could be Kevin Hart could do that. Like his last big movie. This Soul Plane 3. So snakes
Snakes
on
in
a
the Soul
soul
Plane.
plane. Oh man, I'm gonna pitch it to him.
You should
I'm gonna
tag
push
us.
it to him on IG.
Tag us.
Yeah, I think I was saying that we accept less, right? Like on some level, we just kind of exist and accept. There's a level of trust that just is part of society. You trust, people are doing their jobs that you never see, but the people that we do see not doing their jobs, we don't do nothing about it, right? We don't do nothing.
Like
We
we
don't do
can't do
anything about
anything about it if some person drives 25 miles per hour in the left lane of a highway. Like what the fuck are you doing?
it, right? You can honk at them. I mean, that's the most, and they'll move or they won't. But
See, in Germany, that will not happen.
why not?
You won't dare to drive 25 miles per hour in left lane. Like you won't even have the breathing room to think that thought because on the autobahn there's no speed limit. So people take advantage of that, and
Right,
you're
right, right,
asking for big problems. You're not even going to feel the energy that you're allowed.
right.
You might not even be allowed on the autobahn like that. So you're going no, you're gonna.
Good. And that's what it should be,
Oh,
right? Get the fuck out the way.
yeah,
You
it's
fucking up the flow. You're
no, for
fucking up the
real.
flow
It's
of
dangerous.
society.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny how that can be a danger. Yeah, going too slow could be dangerous as fuck.
Right, right.
What an irony. His grandma drives it though.
Are there a lot of old drivers out there? When's the
Oh,
last
I
time you've
mean,
been back to
my
Germany?
grandpa was driving stick shift, uh, 6-speed manual, his Audi, devoted to his Audi, up till he was 90 years old.
That's dope.
Yeah, yeah. No problem. No problem. So I can't speak for all, but usually it's like a mentality thing. Yeah, I think they're pretty good at keeping themselves really adept to
Right.
that. I think, yeah.
And it keeps you alive, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's exciting
100%.
and it brings
Keeps
a
your
little
mental
life into
going.
you.
Absolutely.
Right, right, right.
Absolutely. For sure. And he was so handsy. Like so up to like 90 years old, 90, yeah, 91 maybe even. He was like living alone and doing his own thing, taking out dents with a vacuum cleaner out of his car. Like, what? Who does? I don't even do that.
Right, 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 right. That's dope. That's dope.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So at least I know it runs in my bloodline.
What the
Old age. I'm not
old
gonna lose my
age?
mind. I'm not gonna lose my mind so quickly.
And this is it, right? You starting now. This is the way we have to do it when we live in America, right? We have to, because
Oh,
if you accept the bullshit,
Nice
right?
segue into the next conversation topic.
I mean, I wasn't. It wasn't forced, but yeah, yeah. Yeah. Like we have to come up with shit to like
Hmm.
escape the the
Hmm.
bullshit that we're being fed all the time, while other countries just kind of it's just part of their culture, right? And I
Yeah,
guess
I think it's an
it,
establishment of culture for so long. Where
right,
American culture, what is that? I mean, I always question people what they think about what American culture is because I've always thought about it being a culmination of so many different cultures that people have brought over to these lands and kind of like making it. I don't even know because it ties into that manifest destiny, right? Being able to have
right.
the idea to do whatever you'd like to do, and ultimately trying to have the social justice for that being done. Now, I'm not saying we've already had covered that that's not always the case, obviously, right? But I don't know. What is the American? What do you think is the American culture?
There truly isn't one. I mean,
Exactly my point.
yeah, it ties. On one end, it ties into your point that it's just a culmination of different things, but um, I mean, it's capitalism. Like that's something that I hear frequently. Like the American culture is just capitalism, making money. I mean, it's making money or just being a consumer, right? Consuming or creating to make money or consuming to just kind of get by. I feel like that's pretty much it. And then you have the people in between who are, it's kind of still the same, right? Like you're trying to fight off the the consumerism, and you kind of get to that point, and then you eventually become a creator, but you're not.
Mm.
The majority of people aren't gonna create to scale, and I think people
Oh.
just can't accept that, right? Like you have to. All right, I'm trying to phrase this. So like going back to Germany, going back to like European countries, thinking about how, and this is my general understanding from like movies and people I speak to. Well, I've been to Ibiza, but I've never been to like small European town. Um, there's a sense of community, there's a sense of togetherness, a sense of pride within your community, and accepting that like I'm cool with just like knowing my neighborhood. I'm cool with just knowing my neighbors, and whatever work I do, there's value in it. I know it provides for society, and I'm looking at the fairy tale bullshit aspect, but I think there's a better work life balance that kind of allows, or I guess differentiates between European and American culture.
Hmm.
But I think for America, the chase, going back to like capitalism, is I want to get as many followers as possible. I want as much as possible instead of just being okay and just accepting like whatever's relative to you, to your experience.
Hmm.
I think about that like mostly now what's going on. Like we're on the internet, people on the internet. You're being told what the world is like, but relative to your life experience, the world is okay. Like I said, you can go outside, you can go to the grocery store. For the most part, you have money, you have a roof over your head. You're doing all right. But there's just this continual chase for more, thinking the ever-present oppression that really isn't there from your neighbors. It's there from the government, politicians, and establishment. And like we talked about this, I think yesterday a little bit, that while the rest of the world is protesting and fighting and people are dying, which is kind of the standard for, um, I guess, like our experience, we're just fine. We're just like, whatever. Biden, you can do whatever. It's okay. Like there was a world, like a global anti-lockdown march scheduled for May 15th, but that week the Israel started bombing the shit out of the Palestinians. And that march in America kind of, from what I see, that march in America kind of pivoted into being a pro-Palestine march versus the anti lockdown march. And it just seemed convenient to me. Like it just seemed convenient to me, like going on Reddit and just seeing like Canada, places in Germany, the UK, people just marching and marching for the predominantly for the anti lockdowns, but still supporting Palestine. And in the U.S., it was just pro Palestine. And like for me, it's just again like the conditioning and being sold, not being aware, worrying about what's going on overseas, and not worrying about what's going on. Like just that this disconnect from the relativeness of the American life and what's really going on here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's just I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired of. I mean, the one thing I always valued was the European part of me. But that was also a double-edged sword in growing up very American. For having come over here to the United States when I was young, when I was 8, and just going through the whole system at that age and
Do you
getting.
view it more real quick? So, do you
Mm,
view it as being European or being German? Like which one is more important to you?
I think for the aspect of what I believe in, it's European before it
Okay,
is
cool.
German. Yeah. Um, and that's kind of like adding on to the point because for me, European means, ironically, in my head, more culturalism. Like there's more substance to everything that you mentioned. Like the being together, gathering together. Food is very important. Food is like prevalent to keeping the family around and conversing, taking that time to talk. And I grew up on that. Now I can easily say that's the German culture within me, but um, knowing what I know about the European culture, it's very culmination of it being that type of thing. But it's also very, you may or may not agree. I think it's also very similar to the Caribbean culture where food is very important.
Right.
And and that's kind of the premise of what I say I enjoy that European side, because I know that's where the American culture doesn't have that culture based on its own integrity of some kind, more of like a fighting of differences all the time and
Right. Right. Right.
pointing out the differences and having to segregate in this idea. And that's where I always use the saving grace, like, okay, the European side of me is more patient and more forgiving towards the American culture that I also was subjective to,
Right.
being where I feel like also, whatever it is about my own ego that may or may not have succeeded in the way that I could have felt like I could have been in certain ways in my life now, I do feel like some of those opinions will also land in the category of me feeling that the political system has failed me in my
Right.
endeavors here in this country. And that's where I've had a little bit of resentment of not growing up in Europe and having that type of education, um, and feeling really like a guinea pig growing up in this educational system.
Right.
And that just overall makes it very difficult to accept the overall, because I have certain, because it's funny that you asked me, is it German or is it European? And I have my little hangups as to why I don't say German, because of, I don't think I've really touched upon it here in our episodes here, but we've talked about it before, where my how I grew up, how my family was impacted in just being that label of German was not the most pleasant thing in my childhood, if anything, and that's actually where polar opposite, being American, has saved me and my family. And that's what's like so kind of cool in honoring what my premise is of what I believe in this country is important in that manifest destiny that I know is really hard to grasp and find it fair because it hasn't been fair. Um, but the idea of sovereignty is
Right.
pretty easier here to at least accept. But that's the thing. While I'm a little bit afraid that the sovereignty is not allowing us to unify, and hence why, like, why are there no, why am I not hearing the crazy riots? Like, not even riots. That's the wrong term, but like a march of some kind for these things, because I don't believe in riots.
Right.
But a standing together of unifying past this, we'll get to it later, but this, where I mentioned to you yesterday, this meme war, this technological um, way that we're fighting back. No, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just thinking about you know we're both, I guess, first generation Americans, and for me, going back to like Haiti's history and not having something to fall back on. I guess
Mm,
like just knowing what the existence and experience of Haiti has been throughout the hundreds of years, being here and being in the United States, and just knowing the Black experience, and just seeing like, yo, this shit is it's fucked up, right? Like I can't, don't like I'm part of me is at an age where I'm like, I don't really want to be here. Like I don't really want to be in this country. Like it's had its run, um, and I thought about like last year, and I think I might have shared this, that my mother left Haiti and moved and came to the States. And my belief is to, at some point when she gets older, go back to Haiti, or like have a balanced life where, six in the wintertime she's in Haiti, and in spring
Mm-hmm.
and summer she's up here. But now the country didn't provide that because of whatever and anything. And there's a part of me that's like, what, I wish I had that opportunity to just be like, what, like, I work remotely, I work from home. What I want from myself doesn't require me being in one place all the time. So just like, taking the wife and kids and just be like, we're gonna go to my parents' house and relax for like a month and it's cool out, which is what it should be, right? The I think the purpose and the point of, at least for me, of immigration, I like and mostly like maybe in the 70s and 80s, was to was knowing that home isn't as cracked up as it's supposed to be. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the land of opportunity. I'm gonna establish myself. I'm gonna send money back home. I'm gonna bring people in, and then when we get old enough, we hopefully the country's better off, so that I can relive, I can experience it in a new light, and I can experience it with my children, their children. But that's not. I don't feel like that's the case anyway. Really, it's and and on one aspect, there's also people who just disconnected. Like I made it in America. I don't need to go back home. What am I going back to Haiti for? There's nothing there for me.
Mm.
And and maybe it's a result of just seeing how bad things still are. But I guess going back to like the collective responsibility. Are you leaving to escape, or are you leaving hoping that things would be better, or are you leaving to um, create a situation so you can help out your friends and family? And are you supporting the people back home? Like my parents done a lot. My pops brought like 10 people to the States from Haiti. My mother brought my grandfather, her brothers. It's mad people. And they still go, they go back, they give, they like do business with cousins and friends down there. And I think about like, when they pass away, I don't have a direct relationship. So that that line is cut off for them. Part of the history is cut off for me. And if I had the opportunity, or if the country had developed, or if things were better off for whatever the reason, I'd be able to go down there and when my mother passes away, still have a relationship with them, still support them, still look out for them. So I'm thinking about like, how do I keep the support going. There are a lot of like young Haitian Americans, first generation Haitian Americans, who are doing pretty well for themselves, and like I feel like there's a need to reinvest and reclaim the country. Like a lot of just smart individuals. Um, Something I hope for, something I think about, something I want to work toward and be a part of in some capacity. But it's the American lifestyle is a drain. Like you said, you're being tired. The American lifestyle drains it out of you, right? Where you don't want to fight as much, right? If I'm not even fighting for here, why would I fight for another country, right? But we see that all the time, right? We see people fighting for other countries, but never fighting for home. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
it takes something out of you. It takes something out of you, and I think the idea, like you said earlier, the idea of having no culture, if you become so immersed into this non-culture that's just fluid and just flows with what's relevant in the moment, you become disconnected from what's more important, what's really important. Yeah, I don't know. That's not how I wanted to end that, but
No, I mean it's true. Sorry, I'm like totally embodying what you're saying. So I'm like
no,
the
that's all
response
good.
time is like a little slower
No,
because
I gotta
it's
fix my camera real quick, but
okay.
keep rocking that. Out.
Go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, deep level thoughts. There's awkward moments, but no, I was definitely embodying the part where having to figure out where priorities lie when it comes to fighting for that idea of home. Because I do believe in that theory of home is where your heart is. So if your home is where your heart is, then we're only left to really do what's in our capacity to do, right? Because I feel like we naturally would give back. I don't know. Purging thought of mine. Mm.
What does giving back look like for you? And who would you want to give back to?
I mean, giving back to me is giving back to humanity, point blank, period. Like, in that is like, unfortunately, it's this weird, and I say weird because it's impractical. I want to change the whole world. Like, no one can change the whole world.
Right,
But you can change the whole world technically nowadays because you have technology and you impact
right,
people from all over the world. So the
right,
theory still holds true, and that's kind of, it's so hard to really figure out what our niche is. I was thinking about that earlier. In a world where we're so focused on the mystery because we are so scared of it, we're so afraid of the unknown, that I feel like it puts this unfortunate cloud over ourselves and how we can just naturally behave, if that makes sense.
right,
And I think as human beings we do get, and the general average human being, I think, understands what it means to share, what it means to give. It's like open up a bag of chips. Were you taught to share it? Like, it's, I think the average person can understand that concept. And that's when then somebody asks me, like, you, like, what is my act of sharing? Well, the only way that I know I can make an impact is if I'm just myself all the damn time, because that's the only way you'll know whether
right,
I'm
right,
real or not. Like,
right, right,
I have the energy for you right now. I don't might not have the energy for you tomorrow, but it doesn't mean I don't give a shit. I mean, I care, but there's just only there are only certain parameters of how I can show up for myself and for the world. And
right.
to tie in all these, I think, for us first generationals, it is a huge crux for, I think, how we were raised to believe in this American dream, because of the nuances of, at least for me, chasing that idealized dream in the last 15 years. It looks like it still ended up being a lot of shit. I see a lot of homelessness. I see a lot of disease. There's a lot of shit out there, and it does make it tiring to keep focusing on something when the equal opportunity is there for everyone, but no one is helping each other to get there. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's so much arrogance and ignorance left in this world, um, that they may not be able, they might be still too blind to see what simple sharing is, like just simple sharing. I don't know, because I say that because I'm also very picky with who I have my first cup of coffee with. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
Right,
the
right, right.
it's generally the idea. I don't know,
So,
I'm just thinking.
what do you think causes the disconnection from sharing? So, like initially, I'm thinking about,
Ego.
like, use the example of potato chips, and
Yeah.
like for me, that's something that you learn, like you would do as a child, right? Like
Yeah.
you start sharing as a child, and
Yes.
it's
I
a
was
value that
viciously
your
not
parents
viciously, it's just a joke, but
viciously,
I was disciplined. I was disciplined very
right?
quickly, because apparently Shelly was very sassy when she was younger, and she was like, my mom was like, "That's not how you share."
Right. Oh, good,
like,
good, good,
like,
good.
and I'm like, and ever since then, it's engraved in me to always share. I think it's one of the. I think you would know now a little bit more with my the life coaching that you've mentored me through as well, that I've done a little too oversharing. Yeah, I had to reel that
Right,
shit
right,
back.
right, right.
So
Transparency isn't always good.
right,
But
balance,
um,
balance. You would
yeah.
say at that point, balance.
So what was the? Oh yeah, well, Sharon. So like yeah, we started up as children, doing that, and at some point we just become disconnected from it, right? Like part of me is thinking about the I guess the realization that we it's difficult. Once people have that supreme person that they worship and listen to, it's difficult for us as individuals to kind of interject, right? Like
Oh, of
if you listen
course.
to your parents and listen to your parents, it's difficult for me. So like we I got to stop saying like something I'm being mindful of. But as at some point, like I can't. I'm trying to realize like when do people just only care about the authority? Like like what when did that happen? When do you think that happened for people?
Where we care about authority.
Well, yeah, well the only where we no longer want to share, and the only person's opinion who matters
The leader.
is whoever's the authority. And I'm also thinking that social media caused us to be disconnected from each other and sharing. I was thinking about like being on Reddit and just thinking about likes and like upvotes and stuff, all that simple shit, and how it has no value, right? If I post, I post a picture on Cliff Captures Cloud and people like it, that's cool. Yeah, I appreciate that, but it isn't a real transaction, right? Or it's a nullified transaction versus in the past me showing you a picture and then like me talking to you about the picture, us having like a real engaging dialogue about the picture. And I think social media has like maybe really starting with Facebook. It's kind of transitioned us out of having sharing moments, right? Sharing real moments. It's just I see it, I press this button, I move on. I'm not really sharing myself. I'm just sharing a clip. I'm just sharing something that caught my eye, but there's no experience behind it. So yeah, that's what
Well,
I'm
I feel
thinking
like it's a
about. But yeah, still,
it's a missed
still,
opportunity for you to talk about your experience, and that's what it's unfortunate to I think creating is
right,
I think the cool thing about art in a way it is mystifying is who it attracts and who it doesn't, and what people perceive. It's kind of like how I mentioned this I think before when an artist has said the remark of the cool thing about being in front of a crowd of 85,000 people is to have 85,000 different reasons as to people singing it back to you. And that's the thing that goes amiss, yeah, of course, with social media because you know, I can't deny that part of my ego that does want to be seen. Let's put it that way. And there are certain parts
right,
that social media has conditioned us to believe what does it mean to be seen. And that's when a like comes in handy, an upvote, a downvote, a dislike, a commentary. Like those are like the simple nuanced ways now where it can really play an important role whether or not somebody likes or dislikes something. Because I thought about how crazy it is too the other day, how people could be surprised what a like can mentally do to somebody. Like I
right,
can also think for my like lowest of moments, they're undeniable. You know, the undeniable moments where I was victim to taking a picture when I know my life wasn't the best, and I valued myself of some kind of degree depending on whether or not someone's seen the picture, a likable picture or not. You know what I mean? Like that's definitely
right,
something that I would have to be transparent about that has been through growing up, something that has chiseled in my brain with growing up with social media and the way it affects culturism and allows an idea of socializing, but to understand that it is a media aspect of it. You know, you're not really engulfing yourself with the experience because you're not talking about it. You're not diving deep into using all your emotions, all the senses to a human body to examine the picture, think about what it is that you see, agree or not see. Like it's kind of scary because that's to me I don't know, it's cool. I like it because I'm like again, I'm for people self expression. I'm for it. And I like that technology, social media allows that.
right,
What is worrisome to me and my soul, and how I'd like to have deeper conversations and intellectualize the things that I see, I do fear as well that social media doesn't really provide that engagement, because it is like a tap, like, go, swipe, it's like, and then as a content creator, you're like battling with that algorithm, like, fuck.
Right.
Make this hashtag, do this hashtag, all these little, use these for this, use that for that, don't have too many and have more. like all
There's
these
a
nuances.
right. There's a part of me that feels like my content is just like shadow banned.
Oh, mine,
Because
I know mine is for sure,
yeah,
because it's fucking nuts.
um, I get it. Like I get it, man. I get it, and that's part of the like being tired, right? Like doing, creating content. I'm looking up
It's
hashtags.
fucking
I'm
done.
posting it. Nobody likes it. Okay, cool. Like so, I've been doing. I've been doing. Cool. All right, that's fine. Fuck y'all too. It's all good. Like that's what's up.
Oh man,
So
yeah.
I said I've kind of quit IG. Like I'm not posting anymore. But I post on like Reels, and I post on. I used to post on IGTV, but now I just post on Reels occasionally. And before, on average, I'd get 1,000 views. Then I'd get like 300, 400. And the last three reels I posted only got like 4 views. And I'm out. I'm done. I'm done here too. Like, fuck it. I'm done. I'm done. They don't want me on this shit. They don't want me
Right,
here. They don't want me
right.
here.
Isn't
They don't
that
want me here.
funny?
They don't. They don't. And it's I think about my timing being off, right? When again
Mm.
doing video content now, when it was popping last year, that's fine, it's cool. Doing reels now when it was popping last year, yeah, that's fine, that's cool. And just finding or feeling that it's just these roadblocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to put myself out there more, and to reject the like going back to like you said you wanted to be seen, and I wanted to ask you like what does that mean to you also, but not feeling seen. Like sharing myself, right? I believe in these things that I'm saying, and I want to inspire and motivate, and all that good stuff. Um, but feeling like the effort isn't there because, to your point, the algorithm, or I mean, like,
Censorship.
right, yeah, yeah, and knowing it helps, I guess, deal with the letdown. Like it's not me. It's not me. It's not me. It's
Right.
not me. And then
Right.
part of it is like, no, maybe your shit is just whack. Like maybe your shit is just whack. And that's the initial counter feeling. Then it's like, I always go back and forth. I always go back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But knowing that it's not me, I just need to find a new way to elevate, a new way to do what I want, a new way to put myself out there. And just for me, just thinking about, what did I start with? I started with writing, so maybe that's how I'm really going to be seeing. Like the new age isn't for me. I'm an old head. I know that I'm an old soul. So my timing is off. I understand that. So I need to just focus on what really drives it to me, because I'm not going to motivate and inspire in a 30-second clip. I'm not going to motivate and inspire
Mm.
through posts. Maybe people who know me or people who follow continuously, maybe they will, but that's not me. My energy and my content is long drawn the fuck out.
Right.
I
Right.
said I'm gonna exhaust you. I'm gonna wear you the fuck out so
Right.
you fucking understand. And
Right.
then I'm gonna give you a breath of air. Like,
Right.
all right, but I guess I'm
Intermission,
good.
maybe 2 minutes.
Right.
Go
Get
get
some,
some
get some
water.
get some water.
Get some
Go use the
water.
bathroom.
You
Come
want me to
back
massage your
and
shoulders just a second,
yeah,
for a couple of seconds, loosen up the limbs so you can handle some more of my business is scheduled for
right,
another
right.
45 minutes.
Right. I'm gonna work you out. I'm gonna work you out. So that's kind of where like I've been on mentally. Like that's how I want to be seen,
Yeah.
seen with what I do, and just kind of being true to myself. This is
Oh,
still good
interesting
for
you
me.
say
Like,
that.
yeah, in terms of just having something out there, and for me, I look at it as a backlog. Like I'm looking into the future, and my mindset is it doesn't have to hit now. Just focus on the bigger things that matter. And when people, when it hits, people can look back and be like, "Oh, he's been doing this
He's
for a
been on
while."
it.
And yeah,
And then
like
you're
I'm
going to be in
not.
the sideline. See, but I'm telling you. I'm just telling you.
that's That's your narcissism.
You're damn fucking right. My ego be
Yeah,
slipping too.
maybe,
I'm a human.
maybe I would, but yeah, what
If
does it
not
mean to
you,
be
it would be
seen for
me.
you?
Me for you. Don't worry.
I appreciate
I'm
that.
here. On cue, Cherie. See, I'm trying to tell you. He was trying to tell you this for fucking years, but you weren't paying attention. You weren't following the algorithm. You weren't following the algorithms. You weren't liking the
Or find
pictures.
the algorithm. You weren't looking at the intuitive eye. You weren't following the readers.
You were
I
only
told you
paying
you
the
should. I told you.
2,000 view reel, not the 4 view veal. Veal. My fucking accent came through heavy just now. See, that's how
The
passionate I was.
veal. I
Veal.
like that. The veal. So what's being seen for you in your work or in general or in any capacity?
Man, what a loaded question for me now. Because it was very true what I admitted earlier, where I was very transparent. Because I had to, there was a point 2 years ago where because I had my Instagram account for like forever, right? Forever.
When the
And
shit first came out.
pretty much, maybe a little
Yeah,
bit
me
later
too.
than that, maybe, but forever, for sure. I've had my forever. And I decided to like get rid of everything. Like just not everything. I pretty much got rid of everything. And so the latest picture and the earliest picture that my Instagram shows now is from 2019. And to, to be seen, what it meant for me to be seen before was such like I look at that version of Shari and I'm like, damn girl, you were so depressed. Like you were so depressed. You were so depressed and you were hiding. You were hiding
Look at
so
that fake ass smile, you miserable motherfucker.
oh ooh, God, you were so good. If you should have gotten paid, that's how good you were. Like and it's pretty fucked up. But I valued the premise is because I love photography. I do. It is a hobby that I don't give myself more credit for in dabbling in more. Um, but I do love pictures. I do love the timelessness of a scene, of a moment. And I think on a deeper level, what I was really looking for is a reminiscent reflection of my past to see who I was in that moment of time of my own secret and who was prevalent. Like for me, it was more of like who was there or not. Like who sees.
Right.
It's pretty fucked up. Like it's pretty fucked up mentality. But it was who thinks that. How can I explain this? The people. Okay, the best way I can say it is that the people that like my picture and it increases in the likes don't know me at all, and that's what I was looking at. That's what I was examining from that outside perspective. And it was weird for me, so weird for me. It hit me really hard because I am also naturally a good writer. I'm really good at writing, and my true expression is easier for me to express myself in writing. I have to admit that. And there were certain elements through my feed of social media when I was writing certain things with pictures, and again, that liking thing, people didn't like I don't know what it is. I just didn't get the like, right? I didn't
Right.
know.
Right. Right.
I know people read now and don't like it. I get it. But that time, I'm like, oh, you didn't like it?
Right.
You didn't like
Right.
what I said. And that hurt me more to the core, where it fed where that one version of me of like, I'm not being seen with what I'm sharing. I guess what it means for me to be seen now is um, holding a good conversation. That's when I know when I'm seen. If
I
I
like that.
if I give you if I and I don't this is purely not I'm really trying not to be narcissistic when I say this, but just for the delivery of my point, if I give my time to be with someone and have a long conversation and it's a good conversation, then I know that's when I'm seen. That's I know
Right.
then that moment I'm doing my best to see the other person, and that person's doing their best to see me, and that's what I'm holding on to now more so than fucking like I don't I can't I, fuck it I know
Right.
I know. I was thinking. I was trying to be rebellious and do like a truthers page, right? And that after 5 posts was like, nah, bitch, you're not on.
Banned.
You're banned. Mm-mm. There's other people we're trying to get down. You're not even getting on the ship.
Right,
All
right,
right, you're
right,
not
right.
getting on the ship. I'm like,
They
yeah,
ain't let they even let you come up a little bit, right? Like at least let me live for a
just a little
little
bit.
bit. They're like, nah,
No,
nah.
no.
Right?
You're
They
weak,
discouraged
and
you, right?
out you
Yeah.
go, and out you go. You're not allowed in this garden. Like, you know what? Fuck you then. I didn't want to be in that garden anyway. I'll make my own garden over here. God, and then, it's terrible. But what are you gonna do? But yeah, to be seen now would be how I can gift others the opportunity to be seen, and for me, that's being there with you in the moment as best I can, and knowing also with my line of work, it doesn't have to be that I'm in the living room with you. It doesn't.
Right. I really like that. It's like for me, it relates to just having. I talked about engaging with people on Reddit and just having these robotic conversations. And then we get the private message that they're a real person. It's the surface again, right? It's just the surface of being in that space. I'm on Instagram. What I do on Instagram, I like pictures. And then I move on and scroll to the next picture. But once people write comments and they engage, they elevate the experience essentially, right? Like writing a comment is elevating it, right? You liked it and you had something additional to say. And I even find myself trying to do that more with certain things. So just kind of testing it a bit more. If I really like something, just be like, yo, like this is dope. Just adding more because the like itself feels limiting, or
Mm.
just having someone message you privately about something. Like people send me pictures of clouds or pictures of
Oh, that's so
clouds they
cute.
see, and I'm I mean, you've done
Until
it
it
too. You've
comes
done it too, right?
overwhelming. Until it becomes
No, no,
overwhelming
no,
for
no.
you.
I love it. I love
That's
it on every
cute.
aspect.
It's so cute.
um,
Wait,
and
haven't you also like shared some of those pictures? Is that true? I feel
I
like I don't
think
know. I feel like you might have. I don't know. Maybe I'm making it up for you that you maybe do it now. I don't know, but
it's, I'm not sure. Like my sister sent me an image like 2 days ago. Her boyfriend's brother took a picture of. I think he was in Seattle and like the mountain peak there. I think it's Mount Olympus. Olympus. I can't remember exactly.
mhm.
Um, but like it was just peeking through the clouds. I'm like, yo, this is dope. I'm gonna post it. And she was like, "Go ahead." I'm like, "Nah, like I'm not gonna front and act like it was mine, because that like that's my mindset. For me, if I'm posting it, I if I'm posting it, it's mine. But if I'm sharing it, it's yours. And I never want to perpetrate a fraud or try to get credit. But I think there's also this. I want to say not hating, but like no, I want to phrase this right.
Wait.
I want to phrase this right. Like there's a like this is dope. I wish it was mine. I'm not. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's
I
not
was
bad.
gonna
Maybe
say,
that's
you
not
know
bad.
what's so cool that you're letting people do that I think is so cool, and what it is that the cool aspect that I find so cute about people sending you pictures of clouds is that I get it where it strikes the ego like, damn, that's a good picture.
Yeah, damn.
I know because you've done it to me.
Yeah, right,
and, and I love it. Okay, my ego's like,
right,
yeah, that's right. I have eyes too. But that's but that's what I'm saying. What you're doing with that, what you're inspiring with those pictures is one, you're allowing you're 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 subliminally going into people's subconscious
right,
and having them look up into the sky,
right,
and that's so cool, and that's the idea and the premise of like vibrating and the vibration of who you are and sharing how you can, and then it sometimes results into, I see what you're doing, I took a picture, I want to send it to you, and it's
right,
even more, find it more cute when it's than your sister, it's like cute
right,
elements.
right.
But
And it's also good inspiration for me wanting to chase it because it elevates my desire or like the other levels I want to reach.
right.
Like I want to like what airline can I take that's going to take me next to excuse me a mountain next to clouds. I want that experience. So yeah. And real
Are
quick,
you are you part of the Mile High Club?
nah. Do you know what the Mile High Club is?
No, I don't. But
Mile High
I was
Club is
thinking,
my. Mile
Go
Club
ahead.
is just having sex on an airplane.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that would be
I
really.
was like,
That's
that's a
strictly what
strange
it
question
is.
to ask. Yeah, yeah.
Damn. See how old school I am. I don't know shit. How old is that theory? How long has that been around?
I
Because
feel
I
like it's
don't
been there for
even
a
know.
while.
I have not been in enough.
Let me see.
Damn.
I mean,
Okay, well, because I was looking at it very literal, like your miles high.
yeah, a euphemism for people who had sex in an airplane.
Oh, yeah, okay, no, I wasn't saying that. I mean, if you do, no judgment.
No, no, I'm gonna enjoy it wherever I can. I don't care, right? As
Yes,
long as you don't get,
so
as
you
long as you
are
don't
part of
get,
the Mile High Clubs.
I'm not. I'd admit it if I was.
I'm kidding.
I'd admit it if I
I'm
was.
kidding. I'm kidding. That was just so funny. I had to make a joke out of this. Put myself in a spot here. Oh God.
I guess it probably came out in like the '60s when airline travels was really out there.
Ah.
There's a quote from someone from like '68. I mean, you assume, right? You assume that there's these stewardesses and their cute little outfits. You got these rich businessmen who don't white rich businessmen who don't
First
give a fuck.
class,
So yeah,
lots of
yeah. So
room.
why not, right? Why not fuck if no one cares, right? You can smoke.
Right. Why
Back in
not
the
make
day,
a
you do
club
it.
out of it too? I mean, fuck
Right,
it.
right. You smoke cigarettes. Like you do whatever you want on a plane back in the day. No
That's
one cared,
true.
right? No one cared. Now we care. Now we care.
Now,
But
now, I mean, yeah. We're here, but we started an episode with wondering, like, hmm, if I knew that you were up to no good, would I go on that airplane or would I fly the
right,
same
right,
airline?
right.
Fly that airline. Hmm.
I mean, I'd be okay with the pilot having sex in the bathroom, just not in the control, like not in the cockpit. Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
He
can you
needs some
imagine having
release, right?
turbulence? Because
Stressful job, right? Exactly. Um, but like there's definitely like a level of inspiration and seeing again, people reach out. I think that's what's most important when it comes to, I guess, being a creator on both ends, reaching out to people and giving them a bit more to let them know that their work is dope. Besides the sharing and the like, but also on your own individual and receiving that too. Like there needs to be a balance. It goes back to, like you said, being seen. Um, and I see clouds more now. Like I look on pictures, I'm on social media, I see Nat Geo, and I'm like, there's a lot of clouds you got going on now, right? You wasn't doing that before, but now all
ah,
of a sudden
now the
everybody want to fuck
sun.
with clouds, right?
But
And now
yeah.
everybody want to fuck with clouds,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm. Your
that's
godliness
the
definitely speaks in those moments. Wait a minute. That's part of my frequency right there too.
right,
I
right.
see you.
And there's a comical arrogance to it, thinking it's me. I know it's not me. There's also the awareness of, it could have always been like that, but now I'm just more aware of it because I'm doing it because of sensory and connection. So, all it could be whatever it is, but it's just it inspires more. It inspires more, and it also lets me know what I want to do and what I don't want to do. Like I don't really like filters. I don't want to do touch ups. I want you to see it how I saw it,
Like the
and
raw
that's it.
material.
Yeah,
The
I
raw
want it. I want
material.
it real because that's reality. I don't want to alter it and
Yeah.
hype it up for you. I don't want to sell it to you. I want you like life isn't sold.
Right.
It just is.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's kind of like also with my line of work. I no, I'm not here to convince you at all. Like it's better
Right.
actually that you don't agree. I'd rather you. It really, honestly, in my line of work, sometimes prove to me that I'm not right.
Right.
I'd rather like that, because one, I've always enjoyed mutual differences anyway, because I truly, as an individual, learn so much more. For me, it gives a level of rawness that is just part of life, because I truly believe everyone, although I do believe we bleed the same, and for thus we're a human, but we all have different degrees as what makes us human, and I don't really know where I was going with that, besides saying that I like the raw aspect of life and being as authentic to the image as possible. And I don't want to convince
Yeah.
you of anything. I'm not trying to sell you shit. I know it comes with the attitude, I think, as well, sometimes, of like being excited. Sometimes I think that's I want to, if anything, I want to sell the fact that I'm excited for the material that I have to offer,
Right.
and to deliver that attitude with whatever it is that you get from me, that like it's motivating, and it's a progression, and that's where I think I'd rather make a difference. And if that's the outcome of that is abundance, then yes, I feel like I've succeeded. But I'm not
Right.
trying to sell you shit here.
And I think
I'm too tired.
right. And I think that's part of the challenge. Um, I guess with balance, like going, I'll jump into like masculine and feminine energy.
Mm.
The feminine energy is the creativity, the passion, the desire, the reality. But the masculine energy, going back to American culture being capitalism, is selling people shit. Right? You can know, you can know the shit, but if like Alex Jones, right? Like he knows shit. And what does he do? He has his information and he sells supplements on the side because he has to profit off it. He has to eat. He has to feed. So there needs to be that balance, and I guess the challenge is selling, but selling pure. Selling within your values, within
Right, right,
what works and resonates with you.
right.
I can no, I can work for someone else. I can make a lot. I know I can make a lot of money working for someone else. There's always that potential because I'm just a disciplined person. I like learning. That's really for me. That's really what you really need to succeed in life and in work. Just enjoy learning and have discipline. Like I think those are the two most important foundations.
Yeah.
And I can do that and I can make easy money, but there's no value to it for me because I'm never going to be happy. I'm never going to be truly happy. I'm just going to be just going through it. And you can, I'm not, it's just me. Like I understand that there's a balance of people who can enjoy work-life balance. And like going back to European
Mm-hmm.
countries and going back to the balance between, work isn't your life. You go to work, you like, fucking, I'm out, and I have fun with my friends and family. But the American culture doesn't really offer that, or it never really ends. It's just this It just feels like this um, continual flow of
Of a hustle.
yeah. I want to
Not
say
as a
being
hustle, but
exhausted.
it's like a
Yeah.
hustle of towards exhaustion. Yeah.
Right, right. Like there's this. I've talked about this before. I can't remember here, but there's this sociological theory. I don't remember, of course, because I only care about the idea itself. Because that's what's more important, right? Like your name is important. I don't care about my name. I care more about the inspiration and what it leads to. It's not
Right.
because it's not about me,
Right.
but just saying that when the average worker goes home, they get their beer, they have their dinner, and they're sitting home, they're relaxing, they're watching TV, and they think it's for them. They think they've earned it. After a long day of work, I can finally sit down and relax.
Mm.
But it's not. It's part of a system to help you transition back into the workplace.
Right.
Working 9 to 5, you're in traffic for an hour, you go home, you relax 3 or 4 hours, because I allow you to, right? The system allows you to. If the system wanted you to work 12 hours, most people would do it, right? Like if looking at where we are now as a society, right? If the system was work 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, most people would do it because that's just what it is, right? There's no fight. There's no fight in us. There's no fight to push back and say, nah, I'm good. I'm good. We're gonna do it. And if we don't do it, we'll do we'll still do it out of fear, thinking that someone else will do it in our favor and it's just lost opportunity. Um, but anyway, the idea is that everything we do in our lives, for the most part, is just part of the system. It's I forget the word, but it's pre-planned. It's pre-planned. They're aware of it, so it's not. There's a disconnect from thinking that you do have real balance in life, thinking that you've done your work, you've done what you needed to do, and now you can like really enjoy your life. But you're not. You're just consuming, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what the majority of people do after long days of work. You
Mm-hmm.
consume. You go to a bar, you drink, and although you're sharing stories and talking with friends, you go to a bar, you drink,
Mm-hmm.
talk for a little bit, you eat food, or you come home. eat food, you watch TV, you play video games or whatever. And then it's like, what do you do on the weekend? Same thing. Like, where's the time and effort for you? And that's what I think this the new I guess the new the you know the new, this new awakening is for a lot of people, is putting more of themselves out there, kind of creating that work life balance and investing time in themselves for whatever their passions are, to be seen more,
Mm-hmm.
and to connect. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. It's funny because I was thinking about the way I was trying to beat the system, and like when I was a server, is like I would love to work those 12-hour days. I would
Yeah.
love to do it. Sign me up. I know this goes against the legalities of what should be done, but there's loopholes when it needs to be done, and I'll be like, yeah, sign me up. If I could do it, I'm gonna do it. And then that could give me
Right.
maybe another day off, so I have 3 days off. You know what I mean? But then it's like, yeah, part of that system still ingrained. You're so exhausted from working those 4 days. Those 2 days you're gonna need just to recuperate and get some kind of sanity back, and then you have
Right.
one day to like do something. So yeah, it's the system is designed to overexhaust you and make you think that those. Honestly, I mean, for lack of a better word, it's like to think that those moments in your day that you quote unquote relax are trophies, but they're not. They're not true trophies of life. Like I feel
Right.
the majority of those people, to add more content to what you're saying, I think is that if people were given wishes that could be fulfilled, it would be to do more adventurous things, to explore more. I don't know, like I feel like there would be a desire of more. I can at least speak on it on the people that I've come across in my life that always desired for more, felt like the world was against them, that they couldn't explore more, or knowing that how important it was for them to have traveled as much as they did. And like exploring was always something important, on many people's priorities in life, and the system doesn't really allow that.
Right.
The system does not allow that exploration. It exploits it. It exploits the idea of it, so that you work so much to be so exhausted to do something about it, and that's kind of the shitty part of it.
Yeah. I was thinking about when you were talking about like enjoying 12-hour work weeks. Thinking about the company we used to work for, and I'd get there like 6:30 in the morning, and I'd leave like 7 or 8, and I wouldn't care because like I genuinely enjoyed the work, I
Hmm.
enjoyed the staff, I enjoyed the environment, I enjoyed the energy, and that's what work should be. And I know I also talk about like my experience is on one end for me, I look at it as a luxury, being able to kind of step into these roles or have these experiences. But on the other end, like I work hard. I work hard for 90% of like what I have. I don't. Nothing is given to me. I'm not a lucky. I've said this. I'm not a lucky person. Things don't fall into my lap. I'm never gonna win the lottery. I have to work. That's just the energy that surrounds me. And I think part of it is like knowing your energy, knowing what works for you, and accepting it. But acceptance is always the challenging part. But it's I get the challenge, and I know everyone isn't going to find the work that they love, but I think the time that is allowed for you outside of work should be for you, right? Like you utilize it for yourself, utilize it to balance out all the heaviness of the workday, the heaviness of someone else's projects, the heaviness of someone else's burdens,
Hmm.
and find yourself through it, right? Going back to being seen, right? What do you I always go back on the thought of what people are just willing to kind of accept. A second, what people are kind of willing to accept, what people are willing to fight for, what people just been like, like, all right, well, this is life, so I'm just gonna do this until I'm not here anymore, right? The giving up and being tired. I don't know. Yeah, I lost the transition of thought. Yeah.
Mm, no worries, no worries. But Yeah, no, I would agree too. I think you were trying to get to the point where the what we talked about already. That the system doesn't allow that that space of time to do the creative work, to express yourself in the creative content, and
Right. I
yeah, I don't
I have
to gain
I
that
have
empowerment. I don't know.
yeah. So like I guess I just thought while you were speaking, like thinking about sacrifice, right? The system doesn't allow you to have the time, and you're too exhausted to do the work. You know, whatever that is. But making a sacrifice. I'm tired, but this is something I love and I believe in. So you make the effort and you invest a little time into it. Um, if you go to work, go to a job you hate, go to a job with coworkers you dislike, go to the commute. You hate your commute. You hate. There's so much. I think collectively, right? The American experience, connecting us back to America, the American experience is just filled of just it's like what the fuck, right? Like I gotta like fuck this traffic, fuck the late train, fuck being on lines. It's just constantly like, yo, this shit is whack and annoying. But you just accept it, right? Like that's the conditioning. Like there's nothing else, right? There's no. They tell you that there's no other game to play. This is the only show in town. This is what you have to do. And if you're willing to sacrifice so much of your time, right, just being angry and being negative and being unhappy, all for someone else, why not just flip it and like sacrifice a little bit for yourself? I think that's the thought, right? And
I
maybe the challenge is just breaking through. Like, how do you get? We talked about how do you intercede when people are just they have their master, right? They have the person that they go
mm,
to for everything and guidance. And how do you intercede to show people that this is not the way to live? Um, and maybe it's I'm zooming through thoughts in terms of thinking about people who have who, think about people who are like complying with the new normal, right? Thinking about people who have complied with the new normal, and thinking about people who haven't, or who are questioning it. And maybe like on one end, I see on Reddit a lot, people who are in pain, people who are in pain and who can admit that, yeah, you know what, humans are whack, Earth is whack, climate change is coming, politics is fucked up, depression, thanatophobia, all of that. People who can just accept that, I think to, they're more willing to kind of accept some superseding, and they're more willing to accept inspiration from other outside people.
mm,
And maybe it's because the other people, they're not being truthful to themselves. They're not living their truth, and they're not speaking the truth. I feel like there's a lot of the people who have, like I said, who have accepted the normal, those are the people who live in fear of the world. Those are the people who are looking for someone else they don't know to protect them and nourish them and tell them everything is going to be okay. That's not the truth, right? That's not the reality. They're living in this false optimistic perspective based on someone else doing the work to protect them. So maybe that's the major difference, and maybe those people are gone. Like I say, like when I say we lost, we lost, we lost. Those people are gone. They're gone, and I don't see I don't see an awakening in them. So working
mm,
working and
mm,
talking to the people who can admit that something feels wrong, something feels off within themselves, within society. Those are the people that need to kind of be talked to. Those are the people that need to be inspired, and those are the people that those are the people who are gonna those are the people who are gonna be the the uh, the push, who are gonna kind of create the push to just reshape this experience. And we talk about being tired. That's part of it, right? Like it's you gotta educate this one, you gotta fight back against this one. But like for me, I've talked about it's not being on social media platforms or doing less, and not worrying about the people who are far gone. If they're gone, they're gone, right? They're on the moon. I'm on Earth. I'm on Earth. I'm here. I see what's real. I'm focused on what's real. So I'd rather just talk to and connect with people who are with me here, who are real also, and who have some. Yeah, my fault. I just told you, my shit just died. My laptop just died. Shut up.
It's all
And
good.
it's at 1% right now, and I think it's just staying at 1% because I got mad shit connected. But
It's
um,
holding on. It's holding on.
yeah, I feel like you had some. You about to double dutching after me.
I was
I fucked up
lost
the flow, right?
a
Yeah,
little bit, a little bit. So
I know, I know.
can't blame you. Can't blame you. But I was trying to hold on to it so dearly. Um, I think the cool part about what you had said is what's the glimmering hope we can hold on to for the future. Because I was thinking, you know, in the past in history, we've always had, well, let me speak in clean tongues, meaning we have to accept in one way or another that things that we were taught was wrong. And to honor that for a moment, let's just say that the things that we believe in history of mattering for life and what we and how we assess things is is through, I don't know, we can think of the any major pandemic that happened, any big catastrophic event. But the one thing that is so different, I think, in this time now in history is the pandemic of 2020, COVID 19.
Right.
Because I want to say there's like maybe, what, there's only, I think, 198 nations in the world, right? Something like that. And so I'm like, when I came across that number, I was like, that's it. That's it.
I'll double check while you speak.
Yeah, please do. Um, but to represent this idea of, my point is that wherever
195.
most
Sorry.
195.
Yeah.
Okay. So, thank you. So that number outstretched into this whole idea of what this world encapsulates, and everyone pretty much being affected by it on every continent, some way or another. And the kind I want, and this is where I'm saying, going back to that glittering hope here, where I was gonna try to bounce in with enthusiasm more, was there's at least more chances of the black sheep waking up now in every single household, breaking away from those paradigms and finding it okay to, because it's easier now for them to see, more chances than not, their intuition could lead them towards social media that will give them access to knowing that someone thousands of miles away is fearing and feeling the same thing, is fighting for the same cause.
Right.
And that's what's so damn cool about this potential of today. Because I was all these things. I was all, and not to say that me means there's a million more of me. No, I'm not trying to insinuate that, but I'm trying to insinuate the possibility of knowing that once upon a time, not long ago, like a year ago, that I felt
Right.
very isolated. I felt very closed off, as hectic as life was for me in the way the pandemic unraveled my personal life, right? Is knowing that in no matter of those moments could I be that selfish and think that no one else is experiencing some version of
Right.
the same
Right.
trauma.
It's
And
narcissism, but like the
exactly,
negative side of it. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And and for me, what made my anger so loud in like my internal damnation of like fighting for breaking free my own paradigms was falling under the category of the black sheep of my life.
Right.
And because my ideas that I believed in, my fight for justice, my fight for humanity, unraveled to the point where I couldn't feel comfortable. What I was sharing earlier, just to bring that point across a little bit more, is like this space of a living room became uncomfortable. I wasn't seen or heard based off what I was feeling, and I think that's the scariest part of also knowing what I felt throughout those months last year, and now being reminded not too long ago, a few weeks ago, that still people are still waking up to certain things that are really hard to to accept, right?
Right.
And none of those things are ever fucking easy, and that's what I'm trying to kind of address more. That if somebody does feel like they're the black sheep, where the world around them immediately is being rejected, that it's for what is it called? God's rejection is God's protection. That thing. There is a glimmering of hope, to know that the off chances of now meeting someone who's gone through the same thing, who can understand you and just giving you the time and space to see you and hear you, is definitely still out there.
Right.
I've gotten it. I've gotten it with maybe like people that I can count on my hand, but that's one hand worthy. That's one handful. And that's all that I ever needed for thinking I have no hands in any kind of say so what's going on in life.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know? And it's a simple notion that's very complex and hard to go through. I would never deny that, and I also never would condone it, meaning I'm not ever here to really push someone to have to go through those things, because my ego and my narcissism is not going to desire that of you to go experience that. But my narcissism will try to protect you, and my sassiness is saying, just trust me. You can take my word or not. You don't have to
Right.
believe me though, But I am speaking from experience. But since we only can go into like 30 seconds of like, this is who I am, that's why I honor again seeing and sensing real time of quality conversations, and that's missing in the black sheep. That's, I feel like, more prominent now in, I don't know, them expressing themselves one way or another through social media, and it having some flow of connectivity faster, because I think there's more of it now out there now. There's more of like a, oh yeah, I mean, I feel the same way, that kind of awareness, which is good.
Right.
It's good because social media is also designed for us to be that way. It's kind of like offloader stuff. Um, but I don't know. It's like this. It's this weird gray area. I feel like we always get back to one point or another in these
Right. Right.
points.
Right.
Finding out the balance, finding out the things that you feel grateful for. But what I was excited in that double Dutch approach of that energy was, I am excited for more of those individuals who feel that they are the black sheep of a certain dynamic, because that's where I'd be like, my funny way would be like, I'm over here too, don't worry,
Right. Right.
I see you,
Like
what's
let's be a herd of black
up?
sheep, right?
Exactly, what's
Right. Or let's
up?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I feel like initially going back to the black sheep aspect. If you're a black sheep in your family, then most likely you're a black sheep in society, because that's I feel like that's kind of like the main duality, right? Like your family is doing the standard of what, going back to America, what the American lifestyle is supposed to be. It's
Right.
following what they're told and doing what they're told, and you're kind of like, I just want to do my own thing. I don't know what it is yet. Like sometimes you don't know what it is yet, but I just want to do my own thing. And it's a good starting point, I think, right? Maybe that's the angle, right? Connecting with people who consider themselves black sheep of their family and society, because those are the people who are more willing to be free thinkers and individuals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's so funny because like what I was thinking earlier when I was trying to hold on to this point, I was thinking out loud, what does it mean to be the black sheep, right? And then as someone who would maybe look at that word black sheep, it's not, let's say this, like the word nigga has been an issue. The word, black has been an
I feel like that's
issue.
the first time I've ever heard you say nigga, and I heard the uncertainty in your voice when you said it.
Yeah, because it was followed by "Girl, just be authentic."
Yeah, just fuck it.
Say it out loud. But yeah,
One drop rule. You black nigga, nigga, nigga,
that,
right?
it wasn't until I said the word where I'm like, oh, you're my nigga. What's my motherfucker? You're my yeah, like totally embodied it. But that's what I'm saying. You know, that's the speaking for the white side of me now. You know, it's
Right.
like this argument. Well, what do you mean? It was racist when I said it, and the blacks would say, well, yeah, you shouldn't say it because you're a white skinned person. It's like all these dynamics hearing growing up. It's like, oh God, this sounds terrible.
Right.
What's going on? And then it took a Puerto Rican to teach me the word nigga. I'm like, what? This is weird. Like,
I'm offended
cultures.
by that. I'm offended by
You
that.
should be. I am too.
They're the last people who'd be. They're
Yeah,
the last
as you
people.
should be. As you
Fuck.
should be. That's why it was a problem that he said it to me. Not to me. He didn't call me that. Let's be
Right,
clear
right,
on
right,
that part. But when I heard it in his vocabulary, because he was from Brooklyn, that's what his excuse is, that he's around those individuals. All these
right, right.
cultural ideologies of permission, you know, as to what gives him excuses. Just being able to
Right,
say
right.
that, whatever. But anyway, so but that's what I'm saying with the black sheep. It's like, mm, how do you? It's obviously in the notion of me knowing what I am, because I am the black sheep of my neck of the woods, right? um, to know that that's a very empowering thing. Um, but it's funny because in this little break too, I was thinking, well, as somebody who is considering themselves to be pretty privy in these times, I also find it funny when we call people that are not waking up sheeple. You
Right.
know, like it becomes like a little bit more derogatory. You know, it's not, we're not glorifying, I'm going to speak for myself. When I'm calling you a sheeple, I'm not trying to give you a trophy. Right? I need you to wake it the fuck up.
Right, right, right,
Right?
right.
I need you to join the crew, that remain whoever you want to be. Just pick a side. Just go. Just pick a herd, for God's sakes. Right?
Yeah.
Um, but that's like the positive and the negative aspect of things. And then when we go deeper rooted to philosophize what it means to embody the black sheep, it becomes very interesting how we've taken a concept like those negative words for what it means to be black and made it amazing because we identified it with the black sheep. Does that make sense? You
Yeah, I
understand at
understand.
least my point? And that's like cool. It's cool to me. But I know that in history, there's also been an issue of the system, because you already brought it up. Like, if you once you're a black sheep in the family, you're also a black sheep in society, and that's the fucked up thing, you know,
Right.
because you're actually the movers and the shakers. You're the critical thinkers, like you said, like you
Right.
going outside the norm.
Like you said, I forgot what you said exactly earlier, but I connected it with being knowing that, yeah, you talking about like knowing that you're the black sheep. Like it's the first step in self-awareness, right? Like I know my place in this dynamic. Um and I think knowing, using family as the perfect example because that's your initial introduction into other people in society, knowing that okay, I'm other from my family.
Mm-hmm.
Now when I go out to society, now I have a more clear understanding of how I am other to other people essentially. Um like you brought up the race aspect, not the race aspect, but just the language in terms of black and black
Right.
being traditionally derogatory, but you also view that something negative and I guess stigmatized, right? You don't want to be the black sheep. Do what everyone else is doing, right? And I'm thinking about like nah, like I don't belong here, right? I'm the black sheep 'cause I don't belong here. This is a farm for white sheep. I don't belong here. Like this isn't my place. And thinking about just the black experience, I do not belong here. I'm aware that I'm here. I'm aware that this is the only reality that I exist in and live in and all that. I don't belong here. I don't belong here. I probably belong in Haiti. That's why I belong. That's why I want to belong. Or maybe I would end up in Africa at this point in time, whatever years. Joking about like energy and consciousness and how it exists. But I know I don't. I know I don't. This ain't for me. But I'm here. I'm here. You brought up. I thought you brought up something else earlier, and I was thinking about this post that I saw on Reddit, on the pessimism subreddit. And someone wrote, how can you possibly be glad to be alive when the alternative is literally perfect harmlessness itself, while being alive never is and even ends in death nonetheless. And it's like this long rant about being alive and how bad it is, and I want to engage. I want to engage, and I saw them post and reply to some people, but very just cookie cutter. There's always like these cookie cutter responses, and usually, like I said, I try to be cordial and polite and be fair, but I was just like, like I'm tired, right? I'm tired of listening to people complain. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the whining. I'm tired of life isn't fair. I'm tired of it. So just send like as polite a response as I can. Like we know life is shit, right? Water is wet. We know. We've heard it all the time. Excuse me, we see it all the time. But what are you gonna do about it, right? Like, why keep complaining if you're not gonna do anything about it? And then I added, if life is so bad, respectfully, why are you still here, right? Like if shit is real bad, why don't you check
Now
out?
we talking the
Respectfully,
real.
why don't you check out?
Mm-hmm.
There are people, there are people who are, again, relatively, most people are doing okay. There are people who are really suffering, who would change places with you in a second, and who there are people too hungry to even think about how life is unfair. Like that's all they know. They don't know, like thinking about unfairness, thinking about how life itself is unfair is a privilege within itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's narcissism, it's audacity to be. Why am I alive? This sucks. Why am I here? Really, really, right? This ever present this victim mentality. I sent my reply to them, and they were like, "Oh, you're trying to gaslight me. How how is this bullshit?" And I'm like, "How am I gaslighting? I'm just asking you questions, right? You said you want dialogue. These are just questions, right? Like, why are you still here? What are your solutions? What else is there? Why not just enjoy this for what it is versus complaining about it or being miserable about it?"
Right.
And no one,
Oh man.
from my interaction, no one has solutions, and that's the thing. And I think that's part of the issue, right? People have these ideas and ideologies. We go back to philosophies, we go back to political ideologies that they just latch on to and they believe in, and whatever the group think is, right? Whatever the group of sheep thinks is just that's just what it is. And when you question it, it's just I got nothing. I haven't thought that far ahead. I believe in this. I believe in this wholeheartedly, but I haven't thought that far ahead for this question that you have, and I don't have the ability to either. I don't have the ability to answer it, or to think about it to answer it, or I'm just going to victimize myself because you're asking me a question, and I feel you're putting the pressure on me. Who are you to tell me to think? They actually wrote that. They said, "Who are you to tell me what I can or can't complain about?" I said, I'm not telling you. I'm just asking you a question, right? Just asking you a question, and that's part of that's what we are as a culture, right? You can't question, can't question anything. You can't
This
you
is why I don't
can't
entertain any
you
conversations. Can't.
can't
I don't even have the
you,
patience
you
for it.
have to though, but you have to because every conversation isn't going to be good, but I've had good experiences. I've had those private conversations with people, or people see what I post and they may not message directly, or they may not reply directly on the thread, but they'll message me in private and be like, "Hey, I saw what you wrote," and that's something. Like it's
Yeah.
go,
No,
like
I'm
going
not
back to
denying.
being
I'm not denying that for sure.
yeah,
I'm not denying
like going back to being seen.
that.
You see something, say something. I
Mm-hmm.
see bullshit. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
say this is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the new energy I'm on when it comes to social media. I see bullshit. I'm gonna say that this is bullshit. I'm gonna question you, and if you want to be the sheep, you do that. But hopefully there's a black sheep watching, right? Hopefully there's a black sheep reading and skimming through the comments, and they resonate with it. And that's, indirect influence, indirect inspiration, and that's what I want. Like, I don't take heed to everything I read. I don't read everything. I skim through, and if it catches my eye, I say, "Yo, this is dope," and it stays with me, and it manifests itself at some way somehow later on down the line. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to implore, right, just to, exhausted as we are, right, you make the time, right, you make the time just to show yourself, because, like, going back to being yourself, what else is the point, right? What's the point of being in the group? What's the point of being part of the group if you're not going to participate or help elevate the experience, right?
It's
Because
true.
then we all just end up as sheep. We all just end up as then the sheep stay as sheep, right? I want to, I want you to come rolling the mow with me. This shit is mad fun, son. Come on, fuck. Don't worry about your wool. The shepherd is gonna wash you off. Come roll in the mud with me, have fun, and get black like me for a little bit. That's what it should be, right?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Yeah, no, for sure. It definitely. I think it's funny because I'm over here. Yeah, I guess I've been very tired in like something killed my vibe growing up here, and that hey, come into this boat, and I want you to join my adventures. I became tired really quickly. Um, I think I say that because what was my train of thought? Hold on. It's gone.
You tired? Um, you tired
Um,
growing up in America? USA sucks, stuff like that. You were thinking.
yes. Well, I can talk on that. Um, no, I was. What was hard for me is what killed my vibe is the the maintaining that enthusiasm to have everyone come and have fun on the ride that I'm on. You know,
Right.
I would carry my enthusiasm and excitement was so much that I would have a certain standard that when I allowed that journey to be infiltrated, and if they're on my ship, for example, there's certain elements that would come into play where I would feel like I took things too personal. I was very sensitive. So with that growing up, I lessened the people that were in my boat, and how I excused it eventually. How I matured in the thought was, well, I did come here alone, and I'm leaving alone. So now what's this team aspect here of importance? Because every time I try team aspect, I feel I don't want to say exhausted, but I feel like I've been let
You're
down a
taking
lot.
up more to work.
Yeah, and yeah, that too. And but I feel like I've been also been let down a lot with the
Right.
team aspect. For me is what I'm trying to give value to. That is the love relationships I have with me and anyone else that I deem important in my social circle. Like it could be as my family, my siblings, my relationship to my mom, my relationship with family, even social dynamic relationships when I'm working and I'm bound to perhaps could make a friendship with the uh, work colleagues. Like all these social aspects to understand the value of getting other people excited for things because I see you, I hear you too, and I want you to have
Right.
fun in the things that we could have fun in. But that's what I'm trying to say is like that a part of me lost a vibe of that growing up here so young with certain elements against me. um, but that was just coming with some experience that I just had no control of going through. So it's just interesting when you ended your thought with saying, like, of course I want to just, it's part of everything is to share, and if
Right.
you don't share, then who you've lost the art of sharing, and that's why I'm trying to pull in like, oh, it's very true. We talk about it all the time, and I do believe that it's very important. It's part of authenticity. But I took it so I personalized it to a memory of like, I wonder where that has fit, where I cut that off, or where that was severed from my wanting to show up and feeling excited for other people until like now. with more what I do now, I embody that more. Like I truly embody that from my soul perspective, that I can see it from a different perspective. But I don't know. It's just
Right.
weird seeing the journey for what it was.
So earlier you brought up the idea of doing what you do out of love, and I was tying into this, and I was thinking about again going back to being the black sheep, the white sheep, and trying to intercede between the sheep and the shepherd,
Mm-hmm.
and people thinking that what you're saying and doing isn't out of love, right? I mean, I think both of us cherish cherish bonds. Like I say this, all the time. Like if I've ever sat down, like shared a meal with you, shared a drink with you, coffee, whatever, like there's a bond there for me. Like that's like going back to like time being a point. I don't I don't invest time with people that I don't want to um keep some type of relationship ongoing.
Right.
And granted, sometimes it's just like a one and done. You're like, I tried hanging out with this person, they're not for me, or like like going on a date or whatever, and that's fine, that's realistic.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the desire, the desire, excuse me, the initial desire is wanting to build. So we we're in this position, right, socially, where on being the black sheep or being the free thinkers, however all the different ways we can phrase it. There's like this genuine love and concern for people and their health, right? Their safety, because we know them. Like I know you, like I know you. We've talked, we've texted, we've hung out, all that. I know you. But then there's the shepherd, right? and like shepherd doesn't speak. You speak sheep. I speak sheep, right? You don't speak English. The shepherd speaks English, right? So the shepherd isn't communicating to you properly. He's just telling you to go where he thinks is best, right? He's telling you to go and do what he wants. Like we're the same. So you're here hoping and wanting the best for them, trying to share that and express that, and there's just this. What the fuck do you know, right? Like what do you like? It's the I talk about the arrogance and the narcissism, right? What do you know, right? What do you know? They told me this, and I believe in them for whatever reason. So what do you know? Like who are you to tell me what's right, or who are you to present this information for me? And I think about it's I lost the thought, but it's
Yeah,
I guess it's disheartening, not maybe disheartening, right? Or it's exhaustive, right? Yeah, it's exhaustive, right? It's exhaustive for me to even like invest the time and build up and then want to grow and want to, like you said, like see the potential, be excited for people and what they're doing, and think that the basis of a bond is honesty, right? Is raw and truthful communication and presenting that, and then being maybe not dismissed or um, I don't want to say dismissed because it sounds like I'm victimizing, but it's not. It's maybe disregarded or just being seen as someone who's incompetent. Like one of my boys texts me. Um, and we're just going back and forth, just like a quick catch up, and he asked me if I got the vaccine, and I'm like, nah. He's like, you planning to? I'm like, no. And he's like, even with the variants? I'm like, even with like, I'm okay. I'm okay. And like the conversation has ended there, and it was just it's weird to me, right? Like these, like there's something more there, right? I'm like I know there's something you want to say, just say it. Just say it, right? Like this like we cool. If we cool, like I accept. I accept. Like I said, I'm cool with everyone doing whatever they think is best for them. That's my reality. Whatever you think, like logically and like have processed on your own and are doing as a personal choice for yourself, I'm cool with that. I feel away if you're just doing things because you're told to do them. It's still cool. That's who you are. I accept that. but I feel away because I care. I worry about your safety. I worry about your health. I worry about the adverse reactions a bunch of people are having. I worry about that because I care. Right? I don't want harm to come to people that I'm cool with, people I've shared bonds or relationship with. But the interactions make you feel like you're the only one who feels that way, right? It's not mutual, and that's part of, I guess, that for me it's like it's part of the, I guess, learning myself, learning who I invest time and energy into, and just shifting as as you get older, relationships and bonds and friendships change and evolve, right? And for me, it's just being aware how much time I allot to certain people and in what capacity, knowing who who they've become, or knowing who maybe they've always been, and I just never saw it because it didn't matter back then, right? Like I feel like now it matters. It matters who people are. Um, and on, I guess, on our side, like going back to doing it out of love, like genuine love, you feel a way because it isn't reciprocated. But you adjust and you find your other black sheep. You find the sheep that want to roll in the mud with you and who want to vibe out. And it isn't going to be a direct connection. And I think that's part of the, like, going back to earlier conversation about social media kind of, um I guess, separate, not maybe separating or causing a divide between connection when it's just a simple gesture. Like we've become built for that, right? We accept just texting people. We accept uh just the likes. We accept bare minimum interaction versus given extra effort. I don't know, and sometimes I feel like I'm asking too much. I think that's part of it too. Like I feel like I'm asking too much. I feel like that, this, who cares, right? Like that's what I end up with a lot. Like, who cares? And it's like I care, I care, I care because I care. I can't stop caring. Like I am who I am. I care I care because I care, and it's just adjusting, and um focusing on the sheep that matter, focusing on the conversations and dialogues that we have, focusing on conversation dialogues I have with friends, family, how sparse it may be, but it's like, all right, this is the good, like, this is good. What can I focus on that's real? Not Don't focus on the big picture. Everyone doesn't matter as much as they used to, and that's okay. Nourish the people that do matter, and the rest falls out as it does, or it doesn't, and whatever. Yeah, yeah.
I agree with you. I don't even want to add so much value to that because I agree with you. One thing I do wanted to mention in the beginning of what you said is that we live in a time where when we come with our truths of what matters so much in our heart and what we love so much and advocate for, I think for between the both of us at least, I think we can agree that we're advocating for humanity, and we come from that loving space. And you sharing that with your friend, that incident is so, it sounds so small because it seems just going back and forth and that's it, but it's such a big thing. It's like what you said, and you can feel there's something more, there's something left unsaid. If that's the case, why are you're here. I think
Yeah.
this person could be adept in knowing that you're available to have that conversation if need be. And then we're also then as individuals who don't want to impose ourselves, is because we've gone through certain other elements where we felt like we could trust a certain individual, a time, a space, or something, and we felt like disregarded based on what we feel, and that puts a huge stranglehold on what the idea means to understand the ideologies of a given moment, between what it means to be a shepherd and what it means to be a sheep. Like it's to honor the unifying aspect of it all, and that's, I think, what hurts the most. That there is no such thing as an illusion where we're not unified between one and another. It's literally the differences of how we perceive things and our experiences that put the barriers between me and the person that it disagrees with me. And I can live with that. Like I agree with you. I can live with that. I've lived with
Right.
it. It's brought me to hell and back, that theory of living with it and having to soak that up. And how much I can't change people and how much I can't convince people what derogatory words that can be said about their judgment onto mine. Like I've experienced most of those degrees that I do mean it. Like I don't care so much of the quantity of whom I impact. It's the quality of how I'm impacting individuals.
Right.
And you and I agree on that. And it's it's hard for me not to want to have a quick fix. I think that's a common theme to those individuals who deem themselves as black sheep, is that we honor the fact that there is no quick fix, but we're so fucking eager to want a quick fix. We want to share our philosophies, our mind, our critical thinking ideologies, and just the wonderful ways our brains work and what we compute with the things that are thrown at our brains. Like I think it's such a beautiful fucking thing about the idea of being human and being
Right.
human, that it's so sad to see that that's the part that is ruining, um, or trying to ruin the idea of human connectivity. And that's where I know to honor who I am, to honor who we are, and to honor that. Lord, if you gave me a chance right now, could I go anywhere else? I'd probably say yes. And knowing that I can't, then we are the
What
light.
did you say? I came in low. Say it again. You said, "Lord, if I could go somewhere
I
else,
was
I
like,
would."
Lord, if you gave me a ticket and I can go somewhere else right now, I'd probably say yes.
Where would you
Like
go? Where would you want to go?
outside of this planet. I don't know. I don't want to know. No. I don't even want to be in the solar system. Mars. I don't want. No, you fix the things here. Just put me somewhere else. I don't know. Somewhere else.
But then, how you
Somewhere else.
how you gonna support the cause if you out of here?
Exactly my point. So I have no choice to say, well, we are light. You're assuming that I am
Right. Right.
light. I appreciate you. I appreciate you seeing the good in me. I see the same within you, and we're here honoring what we can. And that's I know is part of respecting why you and I are still here in this moment. The connections that we have lost along the way as well, to be even stronger in what we believe in now. Um, and to understand that it's more of a push. My brain does a lot of things. Ah, man, that just injustice is so real. We're gonna turn the wheel into anger, and then turn that wheel so much forward in passion to move forward and understand that at least progression is something. And that I talked about it before, but that's why I love change. I love change. I have to accept the viciousness about change because it's not easy. Is no one wants change. So, no one I think truly does not want change, but everyone I think still kind of wants to embrace it. Like if you had an option to embrace the changes that were to come, when if somebody were to tell you every change that comes and questions you in your life, but with an outcome to guarantee that it's something better, I think somebody would go down that path. Like they would be able to handle it. Like, all right, you're telling me things are going to be difficult, but there's always better with changes. That's more progression for me. That's more of like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna fucking go. It doesn't matter. It's like just go. And
Right. Right. Right.
this is to honor where I think the American culture has lacked, and where I still see the American culture can fucking rise. Because of the idea where it does not have the stranglehold like every other culture. The only stranglehold that it has is an idea that isn't human. And I think that the more black sheep in this character's conversation rise together and unify more of the idea of human connectedness, then I think that is a fundamental wave that I don't know if I'm going to be alive to see it be in the ocean and wave out into reality. I don't know, but I know that my time here spent and the little impact that I do have with being here in a time and space with you and other individuals, and honoring that we're still fucking young, and like all these trajectory, it makes that that motivational speech of seeing the light be bright bigger and calling it hope a little bit more realistic and something to hold on to, as silly as it may sound.
Right. I think a lot. While you were speaking, I was thinking about the the new normal, comparing it to change. And you were saying that change is it's challenging, it takes a lot of work, and that's what people don't want to do, right? They don't want to do the work when it's reliant on self, right? The new normal is change, but it's based off of the I guess the condition of just again following orders, is being told what's best for you, because it's easy. It's just easy, right? The conditioning, just go to work, go to school, follow the traditional American lifestyle system. It's just and it is just being told, right? Yeah, that's what the majority of the experience is, being told and kind of following along. Um, and I don't know, like I'm like heavily thinking about the black experience, and I keep just going back to it, and it's part of I said before, like I don't belong here. Why the fuck? Like I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for it. So yo, I love this country, man. As for symbol in terms of symbolism, in terms of like realistic opportunity and relative opportunity, yeah, I'm glad I'm here, man. I'm glad my mother made it here. I'm glad my pops made it here. I'm glad for all the immigrants and people who come from horror stories or war torn countries or oppression, who are allowed to find new life here. But I just think about the black experience, and I think about the African American experience prior to me. Now it has just been this ever present, this level of oppression that has forever been going on. The Yeah, I said that black people think they won. They think they got it. They think because of the protests last year. They think because Biden is in office now. They think they won. They think the black experience uh, is solved. Everything is resolved. And I think 2 days ago, Joe Biden signed the anti-Asian hate crime bill, which is dope and important in every right. But the dead I think that same deadline or the day after that was the deadline for the George Floyd police reform bill, right? And all of these asks that the black community has continuously I kept on asking for, right? Politician after politician, Obama didn't really break black people off. Joe Biden isn't going to break black people off. And just again, to seeing I forget the phrase, but like the bus doesn't pick you up, right? You miss your stop or lost opportunity, right? There used to be talk about reparations toward the end of Trump's presidency, ADOS, African African descendants of slaves. They were kind of pushing for that, but now it's just like mute. Everything is just all the energy, all the like going back to what you said. Um, you said like being aware, and then I guess putting the effort to like make change. It's just pacification. It's just all right, cool. We're here, we're set, but never seeing that again. Like you're being left out of the conversation. You're being ignored. Um, so I that like that's part of my one of my biggest concerns, and I find myself at times being like, you know what, there's nothing I can do, right? Or there's nothing to be done, right? If and it sounds fucked up on one end, right? Being here and I say as a black person, I inherit the black experience by default, um, and as an immigrant, I think, regardless of whatever country you come from, as once you're black in America, there's an awareness you have in like seeing and learning the history, seeing what hasn't worked, what has never worked, what's allowed to work, and then seeing how things are now, and it's being like, but like they did this already. Like what the fuck? Like yo, like you didn't like weren't we in the same class? Didn't we read the same textbooks? Like didn't we don't we have the same basic understanding, the knowledge of what the game is. So how is this any different? And then, the part of me when I talk about we lost, like a lot of that is just like the black experience. Like we lost. Like there's nothing. I don't feel like it's gonna change. We're blackness is pushed out the way now. There's yeah, blackness is pushed out the way. And for me, like part of the work that I do, like I like that you use the phrase the work that I do. It's for me, it's rooted in trans and elevating the black experience, right? Trying to find and create more objective black thinkers. I've realized that the traditional life experience, I think for like most black teens or children, is the linear structured path, right? Just black, you're growing up, hip hop is what you fuck with and what you put all your energy into, and you transition and it becomes a multitude of other preconditioned forms of blackness. You read the black books, you read the autobiography of Malcolm X, you read the new Jim Crow, you read all these same structured, right, and predetermined concepts and ideologies for what the black experience is, and then you go out in the world and essentially just like everyone else. And I realize on my end, like I haven't evaded it, but I've tried not to let it define, like let the blackness define my experience. And that's me, working these random jobs and like having these going to Buenos Aires for a month, right? Being like again, being like the only black person, being the only black person that I've seen there outside of like African peddlers. Um, and I'm not sure if that's a derogatory term, but you know what I mean. And finally coming back, right after 30, I'm 36 this year. Finally trying to come back and immerse myself in the black experience after just defining myself, because I know I needed to craft myself, because there's that confusion. I'm Haitian American, but I'm black here, and all this triggers and stimuli about who I should be, who I shouldn't be, and like going through all that, and then I know who I am. I know what I want. Like now, how do I intertwine myself with the black experience? And I think back to the angel numbers. Timing is off. I'm too late. Like I'm too late to be a part of it. Um, but then like I'm not like I'm always working on different things. So I've been making like a lot of good connections with like older black people, who are like immersed in the experience, and it's like this dope learning experience for me. Like I learned that there's a organization called NABS, the National Association for Black Scuba Divers, and I'm on a phone call with this woman that I'm doing business with, and I'm like my mind is just like never heard of it, never even thought about it, but it exists and it's here, and I'm like, yo, like that's so fucking dope, so dope. And then that's the re-inspiration, right? Like connecting, having the conversations, and just not staying rooted in me, right? It's not if it's about the experience, it can't be about me. It can't be me wanting to quit. I have to, I have to put myself out there. I have to have the dialogue, have to have conversations, and learn that there is more. And like those little, like you talked about hope. Those little raw moments of new knowledge gives me hope, and it's like re-inspiring. And be like, all right, cool. Like there's something else going on here, right? And like they don't have maybe there's a way for me to connect with them and like spread their message or whatever. So it exhaustion, right? Like the balance, the ebb and flow of the one being tired, one to be like, fuck this, I'm not doing this anymore. But being seen, honoring yourself, making an effort to communicate and reach out and connect, and knowing not even looking for it, but just knowing that by default, every conversation is going to offer new information, right? New information, new awareness, and new insight and perspective on like the potential for like how shit could be, and then keep working, right? Keep working.
Hmm. I agree. It's like the one thing that I think I mentioned before. It's it's such a hard thing for us to go through, but showing up is really important. Like,
Right.
it's a thing that we can show up to. You know, recently what came through my head more and more, I heard it before, but now it's like playing in my head a little bit more. It's like, what can you show up for today? You know,
Right.
like what can be done today? And I'm learning that that's the way we can slowly change our mentality, and softly approach at certain things, because there's always something at the at around the corner. There's always something, you know, even if it is a rejection, it's something that is an opportunity. And yeah, sometimes rejection hurts, but it gives room for something else, you know, like now this scuba diving, which I think is so fucking dope, by the way. That's
Right.
so cool. Have you ever gone scuba diving?
Nah, I'm a stereotypical black person who can't swim. I say that jokingly, but like I'm good with. I can snorkel, I can swim underwater, but like I can't like breaststroke and all of that. Like I think I have like some type of paranoia with water, like fear of water, fear
Okay.
of drowning. So
Okay.
it like I I'm not comfortable yet.
Okay.
But I've worked on it. Like part of I guess like even the journey for me was like teaching myself how to swim in Miami, right? You know, being scared of
Mm-hmm.
water as a kid and then being in Miami and like I'm in the fucking ocean. Like I better learn how to
Yes.
move and maneuver or something.
Holy.
And you know, I
That's
can do
good.
that. I can't tread water, so if I fall off a boat, I'm pretty much gone. But you know, I keep telling myself
No,
I'll
you
learn.
won't, because you'll have a life vest on, you know,
Right.
ride
Best case
responsibly.
scenario, right? Best case scenario. So sorry. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
but
sorry.
no, it's all good. I was just uh, scuba
Have
diving
you
is
scubaed? Have you scubaed
I
before?
have, I've snorkeled before too, and compared to scuba diving, snorkeling sucks. I
Really? Well, I can
Yo,
imagine that. Yeah.
can't stand it. Can't stand it. And like the like I really my brain is fearful of the water getting into my snorkel, because then I'm like so submerged. I can't trust. I can't
Right,
trust
right.
that my maneuverings are so smooth that water is not going to go into this. I can't trust
You
myself.
don't you
Isn't
don't
that
trust
crazy?
that's
I
I
don't
get that. I get
no,
that.
because I
Damn.
get excited like ooh, and then water, and like
Right,
no, I
right,
don't
right,
have.
right, right,
I
right,
babble too much.
right. Where have you
No,
scubaed before?
babble too much. I've scuba dived in Saint Martin. Yeah, it
Okay.
was Saint Martin. It
Cool,
was
cool.
it was so cool. It was when there's peace on earth. Yes, there's peace on earth. It's just very deep in the ocean.
Right, 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 right.
Oh man, or really high in the sky, because I was parasailing as well, and the peace found in both directions is just absolutely insane. That I'm like, this earth thing, this earth groundedness is not fun. It's so much, it's so loud. It's so
Right, right.
loud. Down there in the ocean was so peaceful. It was so beautiful. It took ironically, every fear away. Like, I don't know what that was, but yeah, my mind did go out there. Like, I'm in the ocean here. This is,
Right,
I don't know. Past 5 feet. Like, I don't know what's coming, you know?
right.
But there's an unwavering amount, for me at least in that moment, to kind of just, I didn't have that fear. I just didn't have that fear. It was pretty amazing. It was remarkable. Like, ever since then, I was like, it's been on my bucket list to kind of at least like have a scuba diving license, you know, like
Right,
like
right, right.
make this a trophy that I've done it, you know, just to
Was
prove
that the first time you went in
it
St. Martin?
was it was the
And
first
you were
time,
like
the
gun
second.
ho and like mind ready the first time, or were you a little apprehensive?
No, I wasn't. It's crazy because I was around. There were three or four other people with me. It was a little crash course, of like the quick things that you need to remember when you're down there, like how to get water out of your goggles, which I thought was so impressive. Like, what? You can get water underwater out of your goggles? Heck yeah, I'm paying attention.
Right, right.
Survival mode. Hello, like, I'm paying attention. So it was like a crash course for maybe like 30 or so minutes or something. But I was one of the last people to go into the water. But it's crazy because everyone wasn't able to do it. Like, everyone kind of like, they freaked out. They couldn't
Right.
handle, after like a certain amount of feet underwater. They couldn't handle the pressure, or their anxiety came to play. So I was like, nah. I'm gonna do this.
Right,
I
right, right.
gotta
That's
do this.
dope.
So it went down, and then all of a sudden we went like 600 feet down or something like that. It was deep, and because I was the only one, the course was a little longer for me. Like it was like, no one went,
Right,
so it was
right.
me. So it was I saw like underwater shipwreck. It was pretty fascinating.
That's dope.
It
That's dope.
was absolutely, man, that's where I give credit to Mother Nature, because that's where I understand humans suck. Like the noise, the just the filth left by humans, the chaos, and you're deep down in the water in the ocean, and it's like, holy shit,
Everything is
you are
it's just
so
it's
small, you're so
perfectly balanced, right?
insignificant. Yeah,
Right, right,
I
right.
felt so insignificant. It was beautiful. You know what I mean? The only thing that was me facing my fear or lack of, and just enjoying what I was able to see. It was absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. It's a
There's a.
piece
Are you
that
familiar with?
I never will forget. Sorry.
Are you familiar with the overview effect?
No. The overview effect. No.
Yeah. So it's when astronauts astronauts go out into space and they view Earth from space for the first time. Overview effect is just it changes your perspective on how you see yourself, how you see the world. Um, it gives you that feeling of like connectiveness and seeing like we out here the fuck alone. So like we know we got to make it work. And I think that's part of it. That's part of like the everyday life experience, and pushing yourself to not even pushing yourself, but motivating yourself to have the scuba experience while these other people unfortunately just didn't have it in them, and they you lose out. Essentially you lose out on experiences, you lose out on ability to connect with nature, with yourself. You lose out on ability to elevate, right, like your life experience. And I think the perspective is really what it is, right? The being able again to disconnect from yourself. Like I've been thinking about like running and this exercise in general, and just I just need to get out of myself. Like I just need to do something where while I'm doing something beneficial, but like it's not focused on me, right? If I'm in the ocean doing scuba, I'm looking at the shipwreck. I'm taking in the humility of how insignificant I am, like you said. If I'm on a mountain peak, just taking in the vastness of how small I am and how insignificant I am. So, those small little pushes and nudges, man. Like those are the ones that help elevate, right? Elevate the existence, elevate how we kind of perceive ourselves. My boy got married in Maui like 2 3 years ago, and Erica and I went snorkeling. I went snorkeling for the first time. I think it was the same for her. And swimming next to sea turtles, just like it was like a coral reef, and it looked mostly dead, but it's the coral reef. I'm just swimming around, seeing fish, like watching the sea turtle just chill out, watching it come up for air, like this beautiful, this raw human, humbling human experience. And I've realized that over my life, and like again having these, um, making these moments, right, taking the risk in these moments and enjoying these moments, it softens you, right? Like you said, although humans suck, you still see the right. Although humans suck, you still see the potential, right? And you want other people to experience that. Like I want, I want people to come on hikes with
Get on a
me.
magic school bus.
Right, right, and ride out and get a different perspective on how things are, how things can be, and let it inspire you. Hopefully, right? Whether it's immediately or whether it's just gradual, right? Like
Right.
it all
Don't be
matters,
afraid of new. Don't be afraid of new.
right?
You can learn so
Don't be
much.
afraid of it.
Yeah. Don't be afraid of new. So I think that's a lot of people are afraid of that. And it's like, I think we've been also conditioned to
The
think that
change, right?
new is change, and change sucks. So it's new. So I got no, it's like daunting. It's easier for the brain to condition itself to uh, not like things. Ugh, the human design. It's like it's the emotions part, the emotions that are the blessings of being human, being able to have feelings and to express them and share a loving try to aim to have a loving relationship with self and others and with others, like all these things that are hopeful in the minds of that living a human life, but it's
Right.
not easy. It's not easy because these emotions again are so um, they seem so biased towards what I feel like at certain times feel like we can empower ourselves to do. It's very hard to show up for to have to have pride that's healthy is so difficult.
Right.
To have pride that is just fucking trashy and doesn't care where it goes is so easy because people claim that to be narcissistic because they're blaming that person for being themselves,
Right.
but it's but ultimately there's like this some rooted pride that kind of comes in a way that is really important to trick the mind that you can show up to certain things even when the ego's like, no, you can't do it or you shouldn't, like all these things that we do have the capability to at least become aware of those. I call them glitches in the brain, like,
Right.
oh, it's on repeat, I gotta catch it, what's wrong with it, and to kind of hack that. And I think one way that at least I remembered a couple of years ago that really stuck in my mind, even if I didn't hold on to it, was the idea of just showing up.
Right.
Because that's when I wasn't showing up, I got the ego saying, "Well, you're not showing up today, so what do you, like,
Right.
so
Right.
what do
Right.
you
Right.
think? Why do you think you're complaining? You're not showing up." And so back and forth dialogue. So yeah, so it's not easy. It's definitely not easy,
Yeah.
but not
It's it's
impossible, and that's cool.
it's the external, right? It's the going
Mm.
back again to the sheep and just following what the shepherd says because it's easier, it's comfortable. You know what to expect. Um, and that
I
the
mean,
black sheep,
we
yeah,
get
yeah,
conditioned that way too, and we're kind of codependent on individuals that are older than us to teach us certain things when we're just born. So
right,
we are conditioned to take some sort of leadership or to accept certain things that are being imposed upon us because as
yeah,
individuals when we first born we do depend on certain things, and but that's the thing. I think the things that we depend on are the simplistic things that are important to every human life, which is food, shelter, and security and love, But that's the thing. We have all different kinds of opinions and traumatized ideologies trying to um, instill or nurture or cater to an idea that's so fragile to a human life as a baby. You know what I mean? Like it's of course when it's not going to be all righteous all the time, it's going to cause the mixed bags of funk when it
right,
matures. And then we're led here, modern day society, and we're like, yeah, there's a bunch of funk that we got taught.
right, right,
Now
right,
we have to try to show up with having enough motivation to show up for the things that we were just, I call it, lied about or lied to, or it was a hope, like whatever that is that we have to finally close the chapter on. It again adds a little bit more glimmering of hope when we can address the words. Well, what can we show up for today? Because at
right,
least it's not as daunting as society saying you got to do this here 9 to 5, and plus, wait, it doesn't even work. It doesn't even end for you 9 to 5. Your 9 to 5 ends the moment you go to sleep because all you're doing is prepping for the next 9 to 5. There's nothing that you do, that's truly yours, like we talked about already. So
right, right, right.
it's crazy.
Man, I think that the and this is I'll kind of close out with this. That the at some point you have to grow. You have to grow up, right? Like we're conditioned, like you said, to follow, to look for leadership. But at some point you grow up. You have to grow up, right? At some point you have to stake your claim for yourself, for what you want, for which one for yourself, which one for the communities you value, and I think that's what's missing. Um, that's what's missing. Yeah, the I mean that's the millennial culture, right? The inability. Well, multiple aspects, I guess. I'll go through whatever I can think of real quick. The inability to grow up, not having access to what we were told we would have at this age, or what the system would provide for us while when we grew up. I think probably those are the most easiest to. But once you realize it was a lie, right? Once you realize that you didn't, none of this shit you promised me is here. You say, all right, well, fuck you, right? Like that. I mean, I think that's what it needs to be in some capacity. But people, it's easier. Change is scary, right? It's if I followed you this long, why would I let go of the teat now, right? If I've been holding on to the teat this long, why would I let go now? It's comfortable and it's safe, and it's unfortunate. Uh, yeah,
It's very
that's all
unfortunate.
I got. Anything you want to close out with?
No, no. Besides just saying, we got to be that little bird in the bird's nest and start getting out of that, get like tossed from the parent out into the nest and learn how to fly. Eventually, you're gonna make it. Learn from Mother Nature. Because apparently, the formula of nurture and naturing, she's got that down packed. Humans,
Not so much.
we're working on it, and we're working on it, and I think that's again speaking on that glimmering hope that at least we can say to ourselves, what can we show up for today? Because that's where we honor the graciousness at our speed and what we can handle moving forward.
Right. So yeah, this has been episode 6 of the HIGHké Lifestyle podcast, bi-weekly podcast on hemp. When we talk about hemp, not so much this episode, and just life, ether, and all energy, and all the good stuff that matters when it comes to balancing life, challenging ourselves, things related to the Virgo ego. Also, I'm your host Clifford. You can find me
And I'm Shari.
on
Oh, sorry.
IG. Sorry.
I interjected.
No,
But it was the
it's okay. It's
beginning
okay.
again.
It's all right. Wait for, I'll retract that. You can find us on IG at the HIGHké Life Style. I always forget this shit. The HIGHké Life, Hike HIGHké. Always forget that. You can find me on IG at Gold's Conditioning. Yeah.
And I am Shari. You can call me on IG as well at _7 TH Goddess. And as well as on my YouTube channel at 7th Goddess as well. And yeah, I will see you soon.
Cool. Till next time. Peace.